Hey there, this video is all about warming up. And today we're going to take a look at 3 things that you should implement into the practice routine that you already have. So without any wasting time, let's get to it. Now before we get started, a quick word about warming up. There are those who take a very deliberate approach to it and have a careful routine that they follow religiously. Then there are others who claim that they don't warm up at all and they just hit the stage. Well, those who just hit the stage are still warming up, and it's going to take them 1 or 2 songs to feel fully engaged. So if you're the type to take the deliberate and careful approach, this material is for you. We're going to break this up into 3 phases of warming up, and here is phase 1. Optimization. So what we mean by optimization is getting each hand, your picking and your fretting hand, to relearn exactly the amount of pressure that you're going to use or the amount of force that you're going to use with your picking hand. So for the left hand, what I would do is take a simple subject. It might be just something like a little scale fragment. What you're going to do is you're going to very carefully play through the sequence, but your main focus is going to be on how much pressure you're using with your left hand. We obviously want to minimize that. Most players, when they're about to play a gig or recording, they're dealing with nerves, perhaps a little adrenaline, and whether they realize it or not, they're pressing harder than they need to. Well, this could potentially lead to mistakes during the gig or burnout, and we're going to try to avoid both of those the best we can. So what I do is I start by just playing through the notes very carefully, and I'm focusing on the lightest touch that I can possibly use while maintaining the integrity of the notes. You can literally do this with anything. This example is just our guinea pig for this chat, but anything that you already use to warm up, any sort of material is fine. What I'm getting at is, instead of just thinking about the material itself, think about what it feels like with your fretting hand, and really try to focus on the lightest touch that you can and drill it. Really remember what that feels like, because that is going to carry into your performance or your recording. Optimization in relation to your picking hand, there's a couple things that are a little different there that we're going to talk about. The first thing is dynamic control. When you're playing a show or a recording, you're going to run through a dynamic range, which simply means volume. You're going to play things that are perhaps very low in volume, very high in volume, and more likely, most of the time, somewhere in the middle. You need to practice that dynamic range to get full control of your picking hand. So what I would do there, we can use the same example as we did for the left hand. What you would do is you would play the example continuously, but play it as quietly as you can. Now, I will say, quietly as you can, as long as you are still able to hear the notes. It is possible to play so lightly that the notes actually kind of come out a bit wimpy. We still need the integrity of the note to shine through. And then you're going to treat your picking hand as if it was the dial on a stereo. Now we're about medium. Let's turn it up a bit. Fairly loud. Then make your way back down. So we're going back down to the medium volume. And notice that we're not speeding up or slowing down. We're not even worried about speed at all, actually, at this point. Back to really quiet. And you want to do this over and over again for several minutes, and what you're doing is practicing that range of volume again. You'll hear it called dynamics. We can think of it as volume if you like, but that is one of the things that I would integrate into your routine. And again, the subject matter, the riff, the lick, doesn't matter. Anything that you're already doing, even if you're chugging power chords to warm up, you can still exercise dynamic control, and that will give you a lot more picking confidence when you're performing. Phase 2, the classic metronome. In this phase, you're going to start slow, you're going to work up to your higher tempos. In this, there is some flexibility. If you're the type to do 1 beat per minute increments, by all means, go ahead. If you want to do 5 beat jumps or 10 beat jumps, whatever you think works best for you, but do this phase. Don't skip the slow to fast thing. I know it's popular these days to say that it doesn't necessarily work, but it does. You can't run with the ball until you've caught it. And get to that point where you are boiling. You're getting the water boiling, you're at the highest tempo you can hit, and then you're on to phase 3. Phase 3 is bursting. This is a very popular topic these days when it comes to guitar technique development and building speed. This is something I would do at the very end of a warm-up routine and for the shortest amount of time of anything else that you're doing in your routine. You really don't want to spend too much time on this because it can quickly lead to burnout, and that's the last thing you want when you're warming up. The bursting method involves playing at tempo levels that are at the absolute top of your current level and even perhaps a bit beyond it, but not to the point of being completely out of control. So what this is going to do is exercise and kind of wake up your absolute higher levels of your current playing ability. So here's an example. I'm going to use a 9-note figure here, just for illustration point, that is basically half legato and half picking. And it doesn't sound like much when you're playing it slow, I can tell you that. So what I'm doing is I'm picking the first note. I'm going to play the F sharp on the first string, 14th fret, and then I'm going to pull to 12 and 10. So this is the legato portion. So down, pull, pull. Then I'm going to pick the notes on the second string. They're going to be at the same fret. We're at 14, 12, and 10 on the B string. It's giving us C sharp, B, and A. Then we're going to go back and do the legato portion. What you're going to notice is when you go back to the legato part, that first note on your way back is an up. So what I'll do is I'll go down or up. I will say this, on the very first note, when you start off, you can use either an up or a down. Let's say up, just for now. So up, pull, pull, down, up, down, and then up, pull, pull. Very simple, it's just 9 notes. But I'm going to loop it. Now, what I'm going to do for a bursting session is I'm going to do 1 round and then I'm going to stop. Now notice the pauses I'm leaving. They are crucial. You need those pauses, well, not only for rest, but also to evaluate how well you did, and to make sure that you're not allowing any excess tension to creep in. It allows you to kind of release any extra stress of your hands that might make its way in. So I would start with a single shot and then rest for a couple beats. 3, 4. Once that starts feeling comfortable, do 2. Actually, that's 2 plus 1 note. The reason why I like to add on an extra note is it generally will land on a beat and it gives you that sense of conclusion. It makes it feel like, ah, I've made it because I landed on a beat. Along those lines. And then you just stop. You leave rests, you leave pauses, and then see if you can push a little further. And you just keep doing this for a few minutes, not very long at all. You only want to do this enough to hit that territory and awaken that portion of your technique. Now, one thing I will say about the bursting thing, you can do this with any technique at all. So if you find that your playing has a lot of alternate picking, legato, sweep picking, or combinations of things, you can literally use any isolated technique and use this method to work on. Well, if you've made it this far into the video, you deserve a bonus. And what I've got is an extra fretting hand exercise that you can do that's perfect for waking up the fretting hand for a gig or recording. And this is the shortest exercise I'll probably ever have to teach. What you do is you stick each individual finger and it doesn't matter what fret you're on, but stick them on the fretboard, on the wood itself, in between the strings. You don't want to do this pushing on an actual string. But what you're going to do is just hold each finger in place, and all you have to do is press as hard as you can for 10 seconds. This probably doesn't require time lapse, it's very short. And that's it. Believe me, that does wonders. Let me know how you make it in the comments.